Michael Lapps is a marketing strategist and entrepreneur with over 15 years of experience helping founders and leadership teams grow. At 25, he founded Yoghurt Digital, building it into one of Australia's leading independent agencies with over 35 staff, working with brands like ANZ, H&R Block, RM Williams, Converse, and the NRL. After exiting in 2022, he launched VCMO, where he now helps companies build marketing engines that actually drive real revenue. He's been recognised by the AFR and SmartCompany, and outside of business, he's travelled to nearly 70 countries and finds in his downtime to be in the kitchen cooking for the people that he loves. I'm super excited about this conversation. Please welcome a fellow Club of United business member and someone I deeply admire in the business and marketing world. Welcome to the Authentic Me podcast, Michael.
Thank you very much for having me.
I'm so excited about this conversation. It's been meaning to happen for a long time, but for those playing at home and listening, let's go straight into, I want to know little Michael, baby boy Michael. Give us some context around him before the success and all of the accolades that you've got now.
Baby boy Michael was rotund. He had very big cheeks. I think baby boy Michael liked being outside, liked playing. I think like a lot of the usual kid stuff. I don't know. I'm trying to imagine what I was like back then, but I was very studious.
Yeah.
I was always actually pretty good in school. Although if you read my report cards from a very early age, teachers would be like, Michael shows great promise, but needs to learn when to stop talking. Like that kind of vibe. So gift of the gab was probably an early thing for me. But yeah, other than that, I think I was just kind of a reasonably regular kid.
Yeah. Awesome. So, because the reason why I asked that is someone that's traveled to over 70 countries, built so many kind of businesses. I'm always like, is entrepreneurship nature or nurture?
So my dad was very entrepreneurial, and he'd started different businesses and sold different businesses, and that was his thing. But growing up, I never wanted to run a business. It was actually never on the cards for me. I never really thought about it. It didn't appeal to me. It sounded like a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of stress. Dad worked a lot as well. And I had a very different career pathway mapped out for myself mentally. It was actually a series of unfortunate events that kind of led me into the business world.
Ooh, okay.
And now it's very difficult to imagine life any other way. Like, I think I always wanted to be a creative in advertising, like the person who came up with the campaigns. So again, little Michael spent a lot of time in his room actually just thinking of a brand and then writing down ideas for what a campaign would look like. And
how little are we talking? Surely not that young.
Still reasonably young, probably like between 10 and 14. I was just like be writing ideas.
And how to bring them to life, like the whole strategy part?
I'd be like, cool, Nike. What could I do for Nike? You know, like, I don't know. I just always really enjoyed marketing. I liked that direction. And so marketing, I always knew that marketing was going to be for me.
Right.
It was, global financial crisis, 2008. I was kind of in university. I was doing internships at different advertising agencies. And when a GFC hits, usually advertising agencies start culling people, not hiring people. And so I accidentally fell into digital, and that pathway kind of set me up for entrepreneurship. Right. That's where I met all the people I ended up starting my business with. I was surrounded by other people who were very entrepreneurial and young and go-getters, and I don't know, it was all very, very accidental. It was not at all planned to be like, cool, I'm going to do business. What am I going to do? Let's do it.
So dad never influenced you into, well, I mean, you saw it around the house, obviously the hard work, the hours, but it wasn't something where it was like, you're going to go run the family business, or did he guide you in conversations around like, do you ever want to start your own business, Michael? Anything like that?
I think we had conversations around it, but there wasn't a family business. So there wasn't like one to naturally step into. And I think I always kind of wanted to blaze my own path. And so I started working for other people, and I felt like, cool, this is where I'm going to go. And then someone kind of presented the opportunity to me of, would you want to do your own thing, and maybe we can start it together? And the more I thought about it, I thought that sounds like a cool idea. And I think that's when I spoke to my dad about it and said, I've got this opportunity. What do you think?
Yeah.
And he he was very pro me going in that general direction. I think because I was 25, mentally I thought, well, what's the worst thing that can happen? If it doesn't work out, I'm still young, I'm employable. I've learned all these new lessons that if anything make me more employable. So the risk felt very low.
Yeah.
Whereas not taking the opportunity, I felt like I would think about it for the rest of my life, whether or not I made the right decision. So kind of, I didn't need a lot of pushing at that stage. I think I just needed someone to be like, you'll be okay.
Yeah.
As opposed to you should do it.
And mum, what was she like?
Mum married dad, right? So she was around that kind of entrepreneurial spirit a lot as well. And mum was also, super successful in her career, was kind of a go-getter herself, not necessarily entrepreneurial, but
leadership.
Leadership, incredibly smart. And I think that mum always just supported, like if she saw that I was really clear on something and that's something that I really wanted to do, she would always tell me what the downside might look like. Like she would maybe be like, are you sure about these things? And if she saw that I'd thought about them and considered them and was confident in them, then I think that would help her sleep at night. Yeah. Right. So I think they were a little bit different. Dad is definitely the risk taker in the family. And I think that runs through my veins a little bit. I have a very high tolerance for risk.
Okay.
And so I think entrepreneurship in that sense
it's required.
Yeah. But I actually think that created a lot of frustration when I was working for other people, because I'd be like, let's go and take risks and do these things. But when it's not your business and it's not your money, you sometimes get pushback on that, and people want to move more slowly, whatever else, where it's your business, it's your money to lose. You're the only person that wears the downside.
Totally. So staying on that for a little bit is you recognize that you liked marketing from 10 years old and early on there. So did you actually know what marketing was, or were we calling it something else? What was the fascination about that field of work?
I think it was the idea of having an idea and then like seeing it brought to life in the real world, and that it could influence people, right? Which is really what marketing is. Right? You're influencing people to make a decision on something. I think where it really clicked for me into how impactful it was, my sister worked in New York when she was living there at quite a big agency, and they had the Nike account. And I remember visiting her there, and it was around the time of the World Cup. And we walked into this incredible room, and it was empty. It was massive. And she was like, this is where the Nike team sits. And there was not one person at their desk. Okay. And I was kind of like, this is weird. I would have thought the Nike account is like where you have to work the hardest. And then there was like distant screams somewhere in the building. And we walked around, and the whole Nike team was huddled around a TV about this big, watching the World Cup live. And one of the players that like was huge for Nike had just scored a goal, and they were all just like celebrating this triumph of, what it means to be a Nike athlete, whatever else. And I was instantly hooked, because I saw how much it meant to people, what it meant for the brand, what it meant for the people working on the account, and just the energy of agency. And I was like, I got it. Like, this is me.
Oh, I love it.
This is me. This is my pace. I want to be part of something like this. It was, I don't know. I just knew it with every fiber in my body. I was like, I'm meant to be here.
And would you say that your personality or your appetite for risk was also developed at a really young age? Like, or did that come later?
I think that probably came later. I don't remember myself being a particularly big risk taker as a kid. I think I was actually reasonably conservative and liked to play it safe. I think as I came out of my shell, as I got older, is where that risk appetite came in. Like I was like always, believe it or not, in school, like I was short, I was overweight.
Wait, what?
I was short, I was overweight, had a god-awful haircut. Like not great. It was just like, it was not like hit puberty late. It was just like a really terrible combination of things to be in school. And so I think when I came out of school and into university, I felt like I became a very different person. And I didn't go to university with anyone that I knew from school. And so I kind of took it as an opportunity to be like, who do you want to be? And that, I think, is actually what pushed me into like a whole different
Yeah.
whole different life really. And I think that's where the risk taking started to come in, and I started to go out more, and yeah, it was different.
I love that. Because it's true. Like in university, I feel a lot of us, once we step into that, it's almost like this bubble pops, right? From high school, and you're like, wow, there's no
The world.
Yeah. Or like there's a lot of adult responsibility where uni offers like you gotta go to the lectures yourself. If not, you don't need to go. All these tutorials, all these things.
Yeah.
And you're really invited to create a new identity, or at least evolve that. So I can totally resonate with that. So from uni then, did you study marketing and business?
Yeah, I did a double degree in marketing and management, like a business degree with a double major. And yeah, it's interesting thinking now about what I use and what I don't use, and what you learn, like the skills that you learn. But for me, university, looking back on it now, was mostly the network. It's the people that I met, the friends that I made. That was the real value for me, because I'm not. The university system and how you learn is actually not great for me and my brain. And so grades wise, I was like I think I graduated with like a 60 average. I wasn't in any way like a HD student, but it didn't suit my learning style particularly. I'm like a very much learning by doing, go out, sit next to people, take in conversations, like actually be on the job. That's where I felt like I really started to progress, is when I actually started working more so than when I was at university. I almost got kicked out of university. I failed.
So many entrepreneurs do, like, as in the university system is almost so jarring and opposite to them when they finally find their rhythm as an entrepreneur or founder.
Yeah. Well, I got a letter from the university. I'd failed 3 subjects in a year, and they were like, if you fail one more subject in this year, then we will put your position up for review. And so I was like, all right, better. And I was like 3 years into a 4-year degree. I was like, okay, I should probably actually like take this very seriously. And in my family, graduating from university is like, it's non-negotiable. You absolutely have to. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to take this more seriously now. But yeah, it was a really pivotal time for me at university.
And you mentioned the one thing there is relationships, right? The friendships that you formed, or at least the gateway to partnerships and business ideas.
Yep.
So is that chapter of your life where Yoghurt was born, or was that post?
No, that was post. Yoghurt was after 2 jobs.
Okay,
so,
talk to us about those 2 jobs.
So the first one was at a communications agency. They mostly focused at like below the line collateral, print, and it was account management role. And that was my first role out of university, based here in Melbourne. And yeah, I was really excited about it because I'd been given my own office, and I was working on the P&G, the Procter & Gamble account across a few of their brands. And that's really exciting. Like, you're a university grad,
and you get your own office.
With your own office. Exactly. Like, I was like, this is really cool. But actually, from a culture fit standpoint, we weren't a particularly great fit. And I would say maybe like, I want to say around 5 months in, myself and one of the managers sat down and like mutually parted ways, because I wasn't loving the culture and they probably weren't loving my output. And so I was like, now I don't really know what to do. And then I just, one of my experiences at the agencies where I interned, there was one guy called Daniel King, who was responsible for all the digital marketing that happened within the advertising agency. And digital was still early days. It wasn't what it is today. And he actually really took me under his wing during the internship, and he spent a lot of time with me, and he told me what was happening. And when I lost that job, I was like, I wonder if digital is maybe where I want to go. And so I applied for this agency called eWeb Marketing, but it was based in Sydney, and I was living in Melbourne. And at the time, they were on BOW's best place to work lists. I think they came second behind Google. Like, it seemed like a cool place to work. And I applied, and they specialized in SEO and paid campaigns. And I remember my first phone interview, they were like, do you know what SEO is? And I was like, I don't. And they were like, okay. I was like, I don't, but I'm interested in digital, and I have the attitude where I will learn stuff quickly. So you tell me if I'm a good culture fit or not. The rest, I can cover. And yeah, they ended up offering me the job, and I moved to Sydney like 2 months later, 3 months later, packed up my whole life, didn't know anyone in Sydney, just kind of like showed up, rented an apartment right next to the office and was like, I'm going to do this thing. And that's where I met everyone that I ended up working with at Yoghurt. Like my founders, some people who we hired from Yoghurt. It was just, it was incredible.
Yeah.
It was the atmosphere there for that first, at least the first year, was electric.
The energy that I'm getting from you in this conversation as well is something that, like, I feel like when you get presented an opportunity or a door opens, you just go through it. Like, you're like, yeah, why not? Let's move to Sydney. Let's not know anyone. And I don't know this, but I can do this. So it sounds like you've always just kind of had that ability to take a risk or a leap of faith, really, and go to the next thing. And so as I'm sitting here, I'm like, it's easy to sit here and kind of go, these are the risks I took. But for someone listening, sometimes taking those risks are the biggest challenges or obstacles that they're facing. How do you get people to take more risks? Like, how do you advise or mentor if anyone was listening to take that leap of faith, or they're at a fork in the road and they don't know what to do?
It's a good question. I think it's very situational, because sometimes the reason that people can't take risks is because of the way that they were brought up, right? And so they grew up in very conservative households, or whatever. Things happen in life that shape your belief system, and sometimes it's very hard to shake. And I grew up in an environment where I was always pushed to try different things, even when it was sometimes uncomfortable. And I think as I got older, I was like, well, I kind of learned that on the other side of that discomfort are incredible opportunities. You meet incredible people, you learn incredible lessons, you grow, you change. And a lot of my life, I think when I look back on it, is just like risk after risk that I've taken that has paid off.
Yeah.
And there's been some that have absolutely not, and like cost me a lot. But where I am today, I look at that and I go, well, this is my life, right? Warts, scars and all. And I wouldn't really give it up. And I think for someone who hasn't taken risks and hasn't seen what happens on the other side of that, or maybe took one risk and it really went badly, it's very difficult to convince them to take the next one. And that's where it becomes hard. And so if I was mentoring someone, I think the first thing that I'd want to do is actually understand where the block is coming from. Is it just like a general mental block of this is big and scary? Or is there something else that has actually happened where they're like, but this didn't work out and I'm scared that will happen again?
Yeah. I think there's a lot of people though that they don't take risks just based on their own limiting beliefs. And they have a fear of what is on the other side.
Yeah. And I think the reality of life is you never know. Like, life is one big risk. Literally every decision you make is a risk. You stand still, there's a risk that you miss the opportunity, and that opportunity could change your life, right? And I think, one of my favorite quotes is, you never know when a handshake will change your life. And so that always pushed me when I was tired, go to the networking event. Sleepy, doesn't matter, work a little bit harder, because you create this opportunity and you don't know where that's going to take you. And so that was always very motivating for me. But for other people, that might not be the case. And that's okay as well. Like, not everyone has to push themselves to places of discomfort. Like, some people are actually just comfortable being comfortable. And I can't sit still like that.
It's like in your DNA.
the comfort makes me uncomfortable.
Yes.
Because I'm the opposite. The comfort makes me uncomfortable because I feel like I'm not learning, or I'm not growing, and I'm not challenging myself enough. And that bodes badly for me always.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So still in that early youth stage of Michael, now in digital marketing, then you met the people at that agency, and then you left and started your own thing.
Yeah, correct.
Was there any, from a legality point or like a crossover, you know what I mean?
You're trying to get me into hot water.
I mean, like, then you poached everyone.
No.
So what did that look like?
Yeah. So actually we poached no clients, not a single one. The two people that I started the agency with, I was kind of more sales and strategy, so client services, so outwardly facing. And they were more on the delivery teams. So kind of once the work is won, we'll kind of get it done. And so when we started the new business, most of the work at that point is winning business and going out there. And I'm a big believer of, if you want to take the beach, burn the boats. And so I quit the other agency before we had a single client, before anything. I was like, I'm all in on this. And I'm going to spend full time trying to win business. That's just going to be my thing. The other guys were like, well, we don't have any work to do. So if we quit, we're just kind of like sitting there. So they waited a little bit longer. I think one of them joined about 3 or 4 months later. The other one, maybe 6 months full time. But at that point, I was kind of like hustling to try and win clients. And it was really hard because no matter how much experience you have, when people hear you're a new business, they're like, oh, so you have no processes, even though you've been doing this for 15 years. Obviously, at that point, it was much less. But, they're like, but now you're trying to do a new thing and you kind of want me to be your guinea pig. And trying to do that when you're 25 is even like, amplifies the risk for them. And I just remember having this one guy, I reckon I pitched him over the course of 6 weeks, probably like 10 times. Like we just kept jumping on calls and he kept saying the same thing like, oh, maybe I literally saying to me, I don't want to be your guinea pig. And I was like trying to convince this guy
I'm good,
to do this
promise.
deal. And it was like $2,000 a month, which these days is like nothing. But back then I was like, it would mean the world. But yeah, eventually we landed our first client and then we landed another client and then we landed another client. But when we quit, it was just, I believed in the idea. I believed that we could accomplish a lot. I believed that as a team, we could do something a little bit different to what other agencies were doing. And so I was willing to just go all in on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't poach any clients or anything like that.
But was there non-competes around obviously being in a digital agency and then opening up a digital agency, or that wasn't relevant? So
I'm sure that there were like I don't remember now. I'm sure that there would be something in the contract. The problem with non-competes is most of the time that
so not enforceable.
Yeah, correct. Totally. They're not worth the paper they're printed on.
Totally.
And also a lot of the people who came out of that agency ended up starting other very successful agencies, kind of doing the rounds now. There's probably another 2 or 3 who are massive. And so there was a lot of people who came out of that organization who were very entrepreneurial. I think that's who they attracted. They attracted young go-getters, hustlers who wanted to like build things.
So naturally, they're going to end up building for themselves.
And they're naturally, And the risk eventually is that they kind of learn all the skills and go, oh, well, I can do this. And that's what a lot of them did. But being around those people and seeing them, some of them already had their own side businesses doing like all kinds of different things. And I think that's where I was starting to get a bit of a taste for, this is a pathway and an opportunity, and kind of being around entrepreneurial people all the time. Yeah, I don't know. I
love that.
I kind of got bitten by the bug and was like, oh, maybe it's worth a try.
Yeah. And so then you went out, and it's always that of sales, right? Do you think that, so a question for you as a marketing agency and a marketing guy is like, well, what do you think comes first? Because sales guys will say it's sales, marketing guys will say it's marketing. I'll say it's brand. So it's like in business, as we need to pay attention to all of these, but is sales the lifeblood of all businesses before you've even gone a marketing strat and brand?
Marketing makes sales better. Marketing makes sales easier for sure. Brand building makes sales easier, faster. It basically, before they're even in the room, they're already halfway to signing with you, right? Whereas if you're just doing pure sales, it's outbound, it's cold leads, you have to build trust over time. It's a much more difficult process. So for me at that time though, we didn't have a big marketing budget. We were 25-year-olds launching a startup, basically.
You're this only person and the other guys are still in their jobs.
We basically didn't have 2 pennies to rub together, we weren't going to go and build a big brand campaign or anything like that. And I hadn't built my own personal brand or reputation in any way. So I didn't have anything to leverage. What I had was LinkedIn, and I had referrals and friends and different people who I could speak to about different projects. And that was literally it. It was just kind of tapping into the referral network and seeing who we could who could introduce us to who, and jumping on the phones. We barely had a website.
It's awesome.
But I was always very conscious of the marketing side. And my belief from the very beginning is if you want to work with big brands, you have to appear like a big brand, right? Like game recognizes game kind of thing. So I never wanted us to look, feel, or sound small. I always wanted us to look very high end, even when it was just the three of us and we had 0 clients.
I love that.
So, our website, our branding, everything, we took the time to invest in that. The language that we used, it was all really important because when we did winning our first kind of enterprise client, they had no idea that it was like basically like just the 3 of us or 4 of us at that point. It wouldn't have come across to them, and that's where the marketing side comes in. So for me, it's not which one comes first. It's bringing people who can do both and getting them to talk to each other. That for me is where the magic happens.
Yeah, I love it. Because 35 staff when you had yogurt is not a small feat. I've scaled my business up to 9 staff, as you know, and then downsized. And it's just a whole different beast, right? So when you're going from 3 people, 3 business, you're starting to win business. What did that look like from that to then the growth of what you saw with yogurt? What happened for you personally and professionally? I'm just thinking 25-year-old Michael, or like anyone that's in their 20s, we think we know it all, and then you do a decade later and you're like, I didn't know anything back then. How did you scale that and how did you manage that many people?
I think I'm pretty comfortable with the assumption that I actually don't know everything, and actually I probably know very little, and that makes me very hungry to learn. And so I was always seeking out other people who have achieved a lot more than me and kind of taking the lessons. Same reason that people read books about entrepreneurship, right? You want to learn lessons from other people so you avoid the potholes. And so for me, that was the same thing. Like that's what networking was for me. I was always kind of absorbing like a sponge what other people were saying and educating on. But it was scary. I think in the early days, there's a weight when someone says, I'm going to come and work for you. You understand that they're kind of putting their financial and like personal
livelihood
life in your hands. And you have a responsibility to them to show up 100%, 1,000% every single day, give it your all and do the right thing and be, a responsible business owner, a responsible manager, a responsible leader, and make their life good. And that adds weight and pressure. And when you're younger, I think you feel it more. When you're older, you understand a bit more about the world, to your point, and what actually matters to people. When you're young, you're like, all right, cool. I've got these people. How do I make their life day to day better? And then as I got older, it was more, what are the bigger things that are actually really important to them? But we didn't go from 0 to 35 in a day. I left yogurt after 8 years. So when I left, we were 35, but we were 3 for probably the first year or year and a half. And then it was 1 staff member and then a second. There were like, I would say peaks and troughs. But yeah, that step change, I think beyond 10, I really felt like from 5 to 10 was very comfortable. Then from like 10 to 20 was like, whoa, this is a big change. And then once we started getting towards 30, at that point, you're spending most of your time leading and managing people, as opposed, like I'd stepped away from my craft. And that I found that hard. Because I loved what I did. And I felt like my role was very different. And it's not that I disliked my role. I loved being a leader. I loved the people that we worked with. We had the most incredible team. I keep in touch with a lot of them to this day. But it was different. I wasn't a marketing strategist there for a period.
And I feel like I hear that a lot from founders and stuff that started, obviously operationally or loving what they do. And as the business grows, the roles and responsibilities naturally change, and it becomes a lot more like looking at the P&L and making sure that team culture, and you're just managing people the whole time.
Correct.
You barely actually know your clients, or just as it gets to that kind of level. And what did you think? Like, one, I want to know who your first hire was. Was it a natural thing where it's like, we need account managers? Was it a delivery thing? And looking back now, would you still keep the way that you hired? Was it a natural progression that you feel like you just hired people as you needed?
I think that we actually did a really good job of recruitment. And I think we did a pretty good, like in terms of who we brought in, I think that was a real strength of ours, that we always hired people who were a great culture fit. And so many of those people are, again, friends to this day and still hang out and have like been to each other's weddings. And I think we just hired a lot of very like-minded people who had a lot of the same attitude. And so the team was pretty tight. In terms of the order that we hired, like, I don't want to say that I would change anything, because where we got to, you know, I was so enamored by what we had, like, coming into work every day was so awesome. Seeing those faces every day, like, that meant a lot to me. And that was really what motivated me every single day to like get out of bed and go do something, was like to do something for this team that they would think was awesome. But I think our first hire, if I'm not mistaken, was kind of like in a UX kind of conversion optimization type role, helping with research. And it was the role that we needed at that time. I think we were maybe more reactive than proactive with some of our hiring. We tried to get better with that as the business went on. But in the beginning, it was a bit like, you know, do we make the hire? This is a whole chunk of cash. Like, you know, could we reinvest this in other areas? You know, can we take on more ourselves? I think leadership is kind of the process of letting go. As you become more of a leader, you have to let more stuff go, and you have to let your OCD go and your control freakness go. And it was challenging, but unbelievably rewarding when you see someone else taking on your work and doing it like 10 times better than you. And again, like, that's the risk bit where you go, yep, okay, hiring someone can be risky, but if they do a good job, it's like magic.
Game changing.
Yeah, magic.
Yeah. Did you already have SOPs in place by the time you kind of hired?
Not really.
All right, great. Makes me feel better.
So I reckon we were probably maybe 4 or 5 years into the business, and then the team was like, progression plans, like what's happening again? Like we were like kids, you know, and so we were like, all right, cool, progression plans. What does that look like? This is all before AI. Yeah. So, you know, you couldn't just go to Claude and be like, build me a progression plan for my digital agency. Yeah. We actually had to go and build them. And we built out for every team in the agency, for every level, we built out like, you know, roles and responsibilities. We built out what progression looks like. What did they need to learn? What are the KPIs they needed to hit in order to get to the next level? It was like a whole thing. It took us months, but it was years before we did that, because we didn't even know
what that was.
We didn't even know what it was. We're like, oh, well, people are happy. We've got a good retention rate. And then all of a sudden, it was just people were like, but I want to know what's next for my career. And we're like, okay, we should work this out. Yeah.
So then, I mean, an exit, right? Like an exit. What does that even look like? And not many people, and I think not many businesses even get to an exit. How did that, was that part of the progression plan? Was it like, it's time? Did you start falling out of love with the role that you were in? What did that look like?
Yeah. Why an exit? So I think I'd been in agency at that point for 10, 12 years, something like that. And I think I was struggling with the model a little bit. I felt like winning business was getting increasingly difficult, particularly the types of clients that we wanted to work with. And we were, I would say, maybe like, we kind of called ourselves a mid-tier agency with a top-tier service, right? We weren't one of the kind of the big players, but we had a lot of like big clients. But breaking into that next echelon, we weren't quite cracking it at that point. And because it was harder to win business, and also there's not a huge amount of loyalty among clients, marketing managers change, they change out agencies regardless of how good the performance was. It just felt like something in the system was a bit broken, and I was pretty burnt out. I was tired, and I had this realization one day where I was like, I don't know that I can give 100% anymore. And when I felt like I couldn't give 100%, suddenly from a team standpoint, now I felt like I was out of integrity. If I can't give 100% to the team and they're like trusting me with their livelihood, I don't know that I'm the right person to lead the business. Wow. And we'd had people make offers to us, and, you know, with some of them we got reasonably far down the track. In the end, I ended up selling my stake to one of the remaining business partners. And I'd kind of told them before that point. It wasn't like it kind of happened overnight. I kind of probably said maybe even 2 years out, I'm starting to feel a little bit tired. And then kind of a year out, I was like, guys, I'm crashing. And then when I was like, I actually can't do 100% anymore. Like this is too much. I don't think I'm the best person to lead the business. It's probably best for me to step aside.
How did they react? And also that requires a huge level of self-awareness and emotional regulation and understanding of self, right? I don't know if many founders really can just go, cool, I'm out.
I think I know myself really well, and I know when I'm done. And if I'm out, I'm out. I don't
know.
Yeah. And other people are going to start to feel it. That's not really fair. And look, it was difficult because my role there was a lot of new business. Because I was the face of the company, I was the one going to the networking events. I was the one building partnerships. I still brought in a significant chunk of revenue. So there was risk to the business in that regard. But we kind of, it'd been an ongoing discussion, and kind of other people took risks as well, in terms of buying me out. And that's kind of part of that's the game. Like, especially if you've got partners, there's risks in having partners, there's risks in not having partners. In this particular instance, I just felt like it was my time. The offer came in and I was like, all right, I'm going to take it. It's time for me to do something else with my life.
Yeah.
And so I didn't have a plan. I was like, that's cash injection. I'm going to take it. My wife was like 8 months pregnant when I had my last day. Even maybe a little bit less, because I think my daughter was born 6 weeks after my last day. And in that 6 weeks, we packed up our apartment in Sydney, moved down to Melbourne, unpacked, set up like a whole new life there, whatever else. And then I became a dad with no job, no income. You want to talk about taking risks? And it was a wild time. But I think generally speaking, the process of exiting broadly is messy. It just is. I've spoken to very few people who are like, oh, it was such an unbelievable process and it was super easy and I got the number that I wanted and we negotiated it in 4 weeks and that was that. Like, it's just not the fairy tale that people think it is. I think they hear like the big numbers of this person exited for 50 million, 100 million, $1 billion. But like behind the scenes, you're exhausted. You've got deal fatigue. You are fighting with your partners over minutia. People are being unreasonable. You're like, it takes up every second of your life mentally. And you also bring that energy home because you feel the knot in your chest. And so it's really hard. It's why some companies literally use deal fatigue as a strategy to wear people down. They'll like slow play the deal.
Just make a decision.
Yeah. So that you just make a decision you don't want to make just for it to be over.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not saying that that's what happened. It didn't. Yeah. But that's the level. Sure. That's the level of exhaustion, emotional and mental, that you feel when you're, going through something for a year, 18 months of your life. It's a lot. Yeah.
I hear about it with people with divorce. So maybe there's deal fatigue in that as well.
Yeah. I'm sure that there is, right? And, that's even more emotional, right? Although, my business felt like my first child, right?
Absolutely.
Now, having had a child, I realize that they're actually not actually my first child, but it was painful. It was painful. That last day was horrific.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So it wasn't like a skipping down the street, down the yellow brick road
no,
going,
I cried
look
a
at
lot.
my exit.
I cried for days. After that last day, the whole team signed like this really big card and I couldn't even bring myself to open it. I was literally the day of my leaving party when I got in the cab at the end of the night. Like, other people were crying, which was making me cry. I got into the cab. I literally, I felt like I'd been trying to hold a lot of it together and I lost it. And I cried that entire night. And then probably the next 2 days I cried as well. I was literally just in bed in the fetal position. And my wife was like, yeah, it's going to be cool, whatever else. And then on day 3, I was like, all right, I think I'm ready to read the card. Literally opened the card, read the first one, was like, nope. I started crying again. It was one of the heaviest losses that I had experienced at that point in time.
And the duality of it, right? So knowing that it was time for you to leave and it was time for you to exit, and yet this grieving process of this entire thing that you've built.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you use divorce as an example, right? Like even if you feel like it's the right thing to do, it doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt, right? You still, like 8 years of my life, people who I know everything about their personal lives, we've been through stuff together, we've had deep conversations, you know, we've built something special. And to this day, I sometimes have members of the team will like message me, or when I catch up with them for coffee, they're like, you know, I've worked at Google or Domain or Commonwealth Bank or whatever, and they'll be like, I still look back on those years as the best years of my career.
That's all you can hope for as a leader.
That's all you can hope for. Yeah. But that's how special it was for us at that time. And so to lose that and let that go with a completely uncertain future was really difficult. I struggled a lot. Also loss of identity. Like I was Michael from Yogurt. That was who I was. People knew me for that reason. And now I'm just Michael. And I didn't know who that person was at all.
Where do you go from that? So a lot of founders, when they do transition out of businesses and then they start new things, that 100% can so resonate with that identity piece. And how do you then find or regain your purpose again? Is it taking the time and taking the space? I mean, you did have your daughter that came into your world, so I'm sure that would have brought a lot of different perspective and also taken up a lot of your time if you were at home. But yeah, how do you then find yourself again?
I think my daughter coming along was probably the best thing that could have happened, because it was a real perspective shift. At the time, I didn't, because I didn't have a plan. I just went, I knew that I needed time to disconnect, because it had been such an intense few years. I couldn't jump into something else. And so I just decided I was going to be a dad. And for the first 5-6 months of Hallie's life, I literally just was at home with her, helping, spending time with her. And at one point I called one of the recruiters that when I was like, all right, I think that I'm ready to try something else. The things that I knew that were going to be important to me is I needed to be challenged. I didn't want to be the smartest person in the room. I wanted to be the dumbest, to be crass. And so I started applying for like Boston Consulting Group and Accenture and, you know, kind of the big consultancies. And I literally got auto rejection letters within 5 minutes of submitting my resume to all of them. And I was like, cool, Boston Consulting Group's not for me. And then I called a recruiter that we work with at Yogurt and was like, you know, what would like a head of marketing, head of digital role look like for me? And she just paused and she said, Michael, you'd be a terrible employee. She's like, your boss is going to hate you. You're going to hate your boss. Like, you've been running your own thing for 8 years. You're an entrepreneur. Go start something else. This is not for you.
Good recruiter.
Totally. She literally like rejected working with me. Yeah. She's like, I can't sell you. And from a purpose standpoint, I think with my daughter coming along, I realized that my purpose was not work. My purpose was my daughter. And that was actually the most important thing for me. And I wasn't Michael from Yogurt anymore. I was dad. And that perspective shifted a lot. But then I still didn't know what I wanted to do. And so I didn't know how to bring my skills or my purpose to life. And I remember lying in bed one night with my wife and just being extremely upset. I was stressed. It's been like 6 months since I'd earned $1. And I was just basically complaining. And my wife just turned to me and like very honestly said, I believe in you. Whatever you want to do, I support you. I can't pull you out of this. Only you can pull you out of this. And you know exactly what you need to do, and you just need to do it. And I literally was like, okay. And I just needed someone to be like,
what a great partner. Totally. Like, it's like, okay, we're not gonna be a victim here.
100%.
And this is your shit.
Yeah. Well, not even like this is your shit. She was like, I can't do the things you need to do for you. Only you can go out and rebuild your network. Other thing, I'd been in Sydney for 11 years. I didn't have any business network in Melbourne. I didn't have people to like lean on in a new city. So she's like, only you can go out and build connections. Only you can go out and meet people. Only you can go out and identify the opportunity. You have to do the work. You need to pick yourself up by the bootstraps and go and do the things you need to do. And you will land somewhere. And I really believe in your ability to go and build something, but you need to do the work. And I think it was just kind of like the fire that I needed lit at that point. And I did, and that was
That's
it.
so
And then I
special.
had Hallie at home as like the blazing fire of whatever I do next is going to be for her. So it was just like a culmination of really critical conversations and the right words at the right time. And that's where my purpose came from. And it was like still there.
Wow, that's awesome. How important do you think it is having a partner like that? Like, your environment, your partner, someone that is going to hold you to court?
It is the most important decision you'll make in your life. I think bar none is who you choose to spend your life with, because they will either build you up or tear you down. They will either make your life harder or easier. They will either motivate you or demotivate you. If someone is a positive influence on your life, that changes everything. I honestly can't imagine a more important decision. And I am very lucky that my wife supports me the way that she does and motivates me the way that she does. I don't really know what else to say about it other than choose wisely, really.
I asked Janine Ellis, founder of Boost, one question at an event, and I asked the same thing of like, what is your one advice for someone? And she said 2 words: marry well. And those 2 words have just always forever stuck with me. It's probably been like 15 years since I actually asked her that question. And it's so simple, but obviously not easy to do. No. But when you get to choose that right person, even now when I think about Corey, I'm like, even when there are inevitable struggles, challenges, so many things where, like you've kind of mentioned, I've had moments where I felt just so defeated. Yeah. Really, really exhausted, tired, at my wit's end. But just having him coexist and be in partnership with me, he goes, you'll just get up and you'll just do what Malu does best. And it's true, because then it's like, and then you show up the next day and it's so important.
Yeah, sometimes you need someone to just like push you out of the bed, right? And for me, there's been a lot of really difficult points over the last, Annie and I first started dating, in 2020, like a few months before COVID. And there's been a lot of really difficult moments during that time. Like even during COVID, both of our businesses were like tanking. Those first couple months, like we didn't know if they were going to survive at all. And having someone there just to be like, right, well, what are we going to do about it? And we just enjoyed life and we enjoyed each other. And you find joy through the difficult times with the right partner. And that makes everything in business easier as well, because business is really hard. I remember listening to Gary Vaynerchuk once on one of his posts, and he said, in business, most days are losses, right? Most days something hard happens, you're putting out some fire, you come home, you don't feel energized, you feel defeated, like things are hard right now. And then when the wins come, they're massive and the highs are so high. But most days are not like that. Most days are just hard. And so to be able to come home to someone who gets you to the next day is so important. And it's why I see so many, business leaders around the world talking about how amazing their partners are and how they could never have done it without them. And now I really understand. I really, really get that.
Because you embody it when you're embodying that relationship as well, and you really. Sometimes advice, kind of what you just said, that it's the right words at the right time of what you're going through. Because otherwise, even with content we can distribute all the time. We could be saying the same repetitive messages again and again and again. True. But then that exact moment, this lands for them because they're going through that certain thing.
I agree. Yeah, timing is definitely everything. That's for sure.
You're like, oh, that makes sense now.
Yeah. And sometimes, like it'll be years later and you're like, oh, the penny drops. And sometimes you have to send a message to someone to be like, thanks for that advice 9 years ago. It makes all the world of difference now.
Even the things with these podcasts, sometimes I'm asking questions because they're relevant, obviously, specifically for me, building teams, leading at that scale stage, but someone else listening, it might be too early for them. But if they're willing to listen to an episode like this, for example, and even understanding that an exit might not be what Alex Hormozi exited for 49 million. You know, like we hear all these amazing, huge, grandiose acquisitions or exits, and then something like this is like, oh, it's kind of a bit messy.
Well, it is messy. And it also depends what you want out of life. Like, what if you just want to build a lifestyle business and have like a cash cow where you can travel, your team runs it, you earn a really good living, and that's that. Or maybe you like building lots of different things. And so you take your financial windfall from the exit and you invest it into the next thing, and then you build that up, and then financial windfall and you build it into the next thing, and you kind of build wealth that way because you have lots of ideas. I'm not the lots of ideas guy.
You're like marketing since I was 10.
Yeah, like marketing since I was 10. But like I've got some friends who literally have a million ideas a minute.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't see it that way, but when I'm in the business, I have a million ideas for where to take that business. So I need a project for like, a decade. And then if I feel like that doesn't excite me anymore, or if I can't push it into the direction I want to go and turn it into something new and more scalable, that's probably where I might go, I'm tired. I don't know that I want to keep doing this. So what's the next thing? But
yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm not short of ideas for the businesses that I work with or for my own business. But I'm not like, what if we
You're not going to do an ice cream.
What if we did an app for parking meters? It's not like would never cross my mind.
Yeah, so interesting. Okay, so I really want to touch on, and thank you so much for your generosity and going wherever the conversation went, because that was really, really, really valuable. And I know some people that will really land, like those moments where you finally decide to just get up and go, I need to just go again.
Yeah.
And so then VCMO, that's
VCMO.
It's your next thing. It's the thing that, so when I first met you, it's like you were doing fractional head of marketing, right? And you were back in that marketing role and you were back being the strategist. And I know now, inevitably, you've kind of ended up back hiring teams and building teams. So what's different about it? What excites you about this next kind of endeavor now? And where is it headed?
Where's it headed? It's a good question. So the business itself.
And what does it stand for those playing at home?
VCMO, I suppose, is slang for Virtual Chief Marketing Officer, which is interesting because it's actually, I would say, fractional is the word that people use, but VCMO sounds much better. I fell into it very accidentally. I had no intention of doing fractional work. When I announced on LinkedIn that I'd left Yoghurt probably 5-6 months later, when I was able to, I had a few people start calling and emailing and being like, I've got this project and that project. Can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? So I literally spun up an ABN just so I could send out an invoice with no intention of building this thing. And actually Cub, my core group, really helped me because I didn't want to be a CMO. When you're an agency, you kind of get pigeonholed. You're an external provider. And so even though we could see some of the challenges within their business that were affecting our ability to deliver performance, whenever we would give them that feedback, it'd always be like, just stay in your lane. It's not your problem. And I didn't want to be a CMO because I was still in the agency mindset. And I was like, I don't want to be pigeonholed into marketing. I have so many skills across sales, culture, ops, leadership that I can help with. So I was calling myself a growth advisor. And then I had a core session at Cub and the entire group was like, I don't know what that is. My business is already growing. Why do I need a growth advisor? And it sounds like you're trying to do too many things and it's too much of a project. But I still have this little marketing problem that needs to be solved despite all of this. So can you just help me with that? And so over the course of a year, I did this really big loop where I ended up back in the CMO space, because one of the things that I realized and what I love most about it is you get brought in at a C-suite level. And so once you're already in, then they're already starting to look to you for advice on other areas. So I kind of called it my Trojan couch theory, where instead of trying to sell them a full house renovation, I'd be like, do you want a couch? And then when I'm in the house with the couch, I'm like, what about the coffee table? Do we match the paint color? And we need a new TV. And what about this room? And you slowly work your way through the business, building it all up. But I'm just selling them the couch.
I love it.
And so VCMO is basically a fractional advisory for marketing. So we work mostly with businesses kind of like in the $5-10 million range who don't have any marketing leadership, no clear marketing strategy, but our clients tend to be reasonably ambitious and maybe even aggressive in their growth targets. So they kind of want to like 2-3x over the next couple of years. And they know that they need a big step change to get there. And so we have a community of CMOs who I've worked with, and we will essentially place the right fractional CMO in your business on a part-time basis. And we're very much like the Athena home loans, love us and leave us. So you've outgrown the university grad, you're not ready for a full-time, 300-400K CMO. We plug the gap and get you to the next level. And then we essentially make ourselves redundant. So we'll actually hire our full-time replacement when the time is right.
Oh, so good.
It's a bit of an interesting model because agency, you're like, I want to keep you forever. And in VCMO, we're like, well, the sooner you get rid of us, the better a job we've done.
Yeah.
Right. And then
but then you can also move on to the next project as well. And then
there's that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of our clients tend to be B2B, but now we've got e-commerce businesses reaching out to us and all kind of SaaS businesses and all sorts. And I think it's just anyone who knows that their business isn't where it could be. Like they're feeling maybe that they haven't reached the heights that they want to reach. And that's really where we come in. I think that's where we shine. The really big enterprise businesses, they have big marketing teams, and the really small kind of like seed or pre-seed startups, they usually are not ready for us either. They're kind of a few steps away. But yeah, we've just worked with so many different companies, and I love it because I like building things and I like helping companies grow. And when I get in there and I've got my business hat on and my marketing hat on, I think that's valuable to founders.
It's invaluable.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so is your ideal customer or the person that comes to you for the solution is the founder, CEO, or like someone that's obviously quite high up that's making that key decision of going, I've identified that this is exactly what we need. Yeah,
we do tend to work with a lot of founders or founder-led businesses. Sometimes there's a CEO in place, but generally speaking, we kind of work direct with the founder. And I like that because you're kind of speaking business to business, founder to founder. And I think that creates a really strong relationship, especially, I told them about my exit story. I told them about building a team, and it goes from, I need help with my marketing strategy to I can help you with all these other things because marketing is a function of business. It doesn't operate, or it shouldn't operate in its own little silo. And so when you have a marketer who understands business, that's a huge asset to them.
Yeah.
And so most of the CMOs that we work with, they all have run their own businesses or their own consultancy. So they actually know a little bit about what it takes to build a business, not just to do the marketing side.
Love it. Oh, that actually lands so much. And because you get marketers that go, it's not my budget, it's not my this, they don't have that responsibility of knowing what it is to be that founder. And so I think the skill set, the lived experience, and what you have is so valuable in this day and age. And the fractional model I'm seeing so much more of.
Totally.
And I'm seeing these almost just work in demand business cultures coming up. So what I mean by that is like, got a campaign or a project, we bring on a series of contractors or other businesses. We come in, we do it for this project and probably other projects as well, but it's not as costly as having these massive full-timers with big salaries that is just not really required anymore.
I think at a certain level of business, it might be.
Yeah.
But the place that we find people want to work with us the most, they don't need that many people at that stage. They need people who can deliver specific parts of the strategy and build them up until they are ready for internal hires or bigger agencies or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
But they don't have someone who can lead that department and who can connect it to a strategic plan at a business level and then bring that down to marketing and say, well, what are we actually trying to achieve? What does the strategy look like? How much money do we need? What are the goals that we're aiming for? That's, I think, where we really shine, is kind of setting up that entire ecosystem and building that marketing engine. And I love it, because for me, I'm back doing what I love the most, which is actually consulting and helping businesses grow, and less time building teams and then managing the team. I've got one employee and she's amazing, and she's kind of like a head of delivery. So she helps manage a lot of the day-to-day, which allows me to remain more strategic. And yeah, that to me is perfect.
Yeah. Do you find that you're fulfilled now?
So I don't know why I hesitated. I'm extremely fulfilled. I'm probably, not probably. It's funny the language
Annie's
that you
listening.
use. Yeah, I'm so happy. It's funny you find yourself using language as a founder, like probably, or you always
Downplay.
You always downplay as a founder, which I actually find really frustrating. You can never just be like, I'm actually doing really well.
Killing it.
You have to qualify it with, but we could be doing this.
Totally.
I'm the happiest I've ever been. And I'm the most fulfilled I've ever been. And that's because I'm happy in my home life, and I have a very clear vision and direction for where I want to take the business. And that really gets me pumped, and I'm going there full steam ahead. And I think when the key spokes of your life are all like, running on full throttle, you feel happy, you feel fulfilled. Like I've got meaning in my life in multiple areas that drives me day to day.
Yeah.
So I think life is better now than it ever has been, really. And that's nice, because I think a lot of people think that the older you get, that maybe, your best years are behind you. And I'm not finding that at all. I don't think that I would go back a step or a year. I'd like for my lower back to hurt less as I get older, maybe like the hip pain to go away. But outside of that, life in general is awesome.
Oh, it's so good. Oh, I feel like there needs to be another part two. I say this to so many guests because I'm like, but I actually have a few selfish questions to ask before we wrap it up. So one is around with the rise of AI, and I'm not going to go too far. That's a whole separate conversation, but more, there's been a couple of thought leaders on LinkedIn and in my space that are marketers that are saying that now people are paying for people that can execute and not strategy, which I actually disagree with. But I'd love to hear your thoughts, because people are saying you can just prompt Chat, Claude, Gemini to create your strategy and to create those forecasts and to do that. Now what we need is people to actually then give out the outcome. So I'd just love to hear your thoughts on that in the strategy, business strategist, consultancy, advisory.
I think it's entirely the other way around. I could not disagree with that more. I saw someone write the other day, and I actually really love it. They said people are treating AI like your pilot, like the pilot, but it's not. It's your co-pilot. You are still the pilot, and AI is helping you. Not AI is leading and then you're doing. And that people have gotten that mixed up, and they're leaning so much on AI that they're actually forgetting
the human,
the human and the experience. What makes marketers, and particularly senior marketers, so valuable is their experience working in industries with brands of different sizes, different tech stacks. They've seen what does and doesn't work, how processes should be set up. AI is basically just pulling stuff in from the internet and answering your question. It doesn't make it right. And it particularly does not make it right for this business. And having a marketer who can look over that, like if AI spits out a strategy and you just go, cool, let's do it. How do you know that that's right? The way you know that is by having a CMO who understands what it looks like at a business strategy level, who understands the metrics that the board is going to be looking at. And does this tie into that? And have you prompted this properly? And what are the bits that are missing? And like, what needs to be fleshed out more? What needs to be changed? What's not quite right? That tweaking, that's the value of marketing expertise. I would say where marketing is getting better is write an email for me, or help me create some ad creative or like that kind of bottom execution, that is where I see AI starting to take over more. I'm worried for university grads, people studying marketing at university. I'm most worried for them because they don't have the business experience, they don't have the marketing experience, they haven't been around for 15 years. And over the next couple of years, yes, some of those roles for me could be at risk. Whereas I think the more senior you are, you're like, you should be the last one to be let go of. I understand you have the biggest salary, but you also add by far the most value. And I don't think that AI strategy, I think it can help with the strategy, but I would never just let AI write the strategy and then just go and do whatever it tells me to do. That feels extremely
when I saw this
dangerous
post in particular from a very influential kind of like thought leader here in Australia, I was quite shocked. And then obviously whether it was clickbait and stuff, but obviously people have really strong opinions on it. And I was like, I think strategists are the people that are going to be able to stay, or like people that can communicate well on a very high senior level. That is, or we're going to be able to go, well, there's room for human nuances. That's the very thing.
I bet you AI wrote the post.
Yeah.
AI, write me a post about why AI is awesome.
Yeah.
And I think like I'm seeing a lot of that kind of talk, and it leans into the fear around AI. It freaks people out because they think that that's true. And I think, for me, I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
I think that that's fear mongering. And I mean, the proof will be in the pudding, I suppose, over the next couple of years.
And
we'll see.
Discernment, right? Because the thing is, AI is designed, or at least now how people are using it, it is designed to appease you. It's always affirmative. Or, when you're like, that's wrong. And they're like, you're right. Here's the other thing. Like, it's just designed to kind of it's just designed to get an outcome, whatever that outcome is. It'll give something.
I saw people writing like really detailed prompts to give to AI around the appeasement thing, saying don't be really harsh, be really critical, be honest. Don't just say yes to everything that I say. I want you to really, really process this, because people are getting sick of just the yes man. Absolutely, you're right. Yes, sir. Whatever you say, sir, go and do the thing. They actually want someone to stress test what they're saying.
And their ideas. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. It's an interesting space. Another question is, because you have mentioned there that you are so fulfilled with many different pockets and buckets of your life. What do you think is the key to that success and fulfillment? Like, how do people go out and achieve that?
Failure.
Oh, I did not expect you to say that.
Yeah. Failing in those areas of your life is how you make things better. I think it was the Dan Martell. He said, successful people fail much more often than anyone else. And the difference is that they take those lessons and then they apply the learnings. I've failed in a lot of areas in my life over previous relationships, in business, and lots of different things. Wasted time, money, hurt people, like all kinds of stuff I'm not proud of. But all of those failures turned me into a better person and taught me lessons around how to be better in all areas of my life. And failure built me a great life. I think just the ability to see what needs to change and how you need to change, and even like day-to-day little processes or habits or, that are unhelpful, I think, in your life, that hold you back. And, I've got certain non-negotiables in my life now that I know fill my cup, and I'm just not willing to give them up for anything. And
what are some of those non-negotiables?
I cook family for my dinner every single night. And cooking for Hallie is really important. I do all of her bedtime routines every single night. I'm in bed with her reading books. It's the best part of my day. And I'm not willing to negotiate on that, because it's literally like my daughter. There's nothing that's more important than her. And so from when I get home until when she goes to sleep, there's no phone, there's no laptop, there's no meetings, there's no distractions. I'm just with her, and that's it, because that's time, and you're not going to get it back. And I know that that's the stuff that makes me happy. And so I'm willing to carve out around that. Same thing, with business. I know that there's certain things that I enjoy doing and certain things that I don't. So I don't want to do the things I don't enjoy doing, and I want to bring people around me who love doing that stuff and are really good at it, so that I can focus on the things that bring me joy. I think that self-awareness is really important.
Yeah.
And when you start to see why things are going wrong and which of your behaviors and habits are driving that, it becomes much easier to make the change. The life that you want, it doesn't fall in your lap, you build it. You build it brick by brick. And it's a very difficult, it's a difficult, like life is hard in general. And so, yeah, I've just kind of been building it brick by brick, rain, hail or shine, I guess.
You've also, I feel like you're someone that's built experiences by experiences, even as you kind of mentioned that, like your non-negotiables are actually experiences that you're not willing to give up.
Yeah.
The dinner with the family, the reading the bedtime story. And as we kind of mentioned in the introduction, and I didn't get to touch on too much, and having traveled over 70 countries, that's experiences that's given you a real perspective and lens on life. Have you always kind of, or has that been built experience by experience, brick by brick, where you just know that experiences far outweigh, I don't know, business achievements, status, accomplishments that a lot of people in business think that they need that, you know, accolade to then continue to succeed and to rise? I feel like you've got this real different take on it.
Yeah, I wrote a bucket list very early on in my life, and probably when I was like 19, maybe. And I spent kind of the next 6-7 years after that going after that bucket list pretty aggressively. And that took me all over the world doing all kinds of crazy things. And I met unbelievable people, and I learned a lot about myself, and I pushed myself out of my comfort zone. And all of that, I think it shapes you as a person. It shapes your perspective on the world. It builds confidence in yourself and what you can and can't do. You learn your limitations in a lot of ways. And also, you know, my sister, who's a therapist, once said to me, there's no corner of the world you can run to where you'll outrun yourself. And I think wherever I went, I met a version of myself, and I got to know myself a lot better. And I think because I've always leaned into experiences and like, this is the life that I have and I want to live it to the absolute max. And even if other people think that the stuff that I do is absolutely crazy and like, why are you spending money on this? And, you know, what are you doing? For me, like that is like, I get one shot at this.
Yeah.
And those experiences have completely shaped every part of my life. And I think it makes me a better dad. I think it makes me a better husband. I think it makes me better at business, makes me a better leader, makes me happier in my own skin. So yeah, like those experiences, those core memories, like that's what I'm going to look back on one day when I'm, you know, lying in a bed, you know, taking my last breath. Like that's the stuff I'm going to be proudest of.
Can you give me some of those? I'm so inspired by this conversation. I'm literally like, I'm going to go home and write myself a bucket list of all the things that I want to achieve, because it feels different to goals. It's like, you know,
not the same.
Yeah, it feels really, really different to goals, the way that you're explaining it. So can you just, even some things that you've had on there that you've been able to fulfill?
I went swimming with whale sharks in Mexico. I went to Tomorrowland in Belgium. I went on a jet fighter ride, which I'm afraid of flying and I'm scared of heights. So that was an interesting experience. I went to Africa and had cheetahs jump on the front of the car.
Wow.
What else? All kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
But, you know, I've traveled to places that I always, you know, really wanted to see. All of that, though, was like, it's just all out of comfort zone stuff, but also like I bring friends along to the journey, and you know, I've got some stuff planned over the next couple of years that I'm very scared of and excited about at the same time. You know, I've seen the Northern Lights a couple times,
Yeah, amazing.
which like changed my life. I just think it's like the life is there to be lived. The world is like literally here for us. You know, you just kind of have to walk out the door and do it. But the bucket list thing, just I'm very motivated by lists. Like,
Same.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And so like the idea of ticking things off. And I think once you start doing a few things on your bucket list and you see how your feelings
It's that
change
sense of
about
achievement
yourself
as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you go, oh, I want to do that again. Like what's the next big one?
Love
so yeah, I'm kind of keen to get back to doing a couple of them, because I
Yeah.
used to do maybe like 3 or 4 a year, and the last couple of years less so. But yeah, I'm keen to start doing some big ones again.
That's incredible. Guys, if you love this episode, this one's gone a little longer than what I normally have, but
Sorry.
it was just such a great conversation. I couldn't stop asking questions. But guys, leave a note in the comments of what your bucket list item is so that we can see it, we can get inspo of it, and also get motivated to do extra things on the list. So Michael, thank you so much for your time with us.
Thanks for having
This
me.
podcast is called The Authentic Me. So we always finish and ask all our guests, what does authenticity mean to you?
It's a really good question. For me, I think authenticity is like no veil. You know, the term kimono open, right? Like I think just being comfortable to be who you are, like not putting it on in some way for the crowd or to fit in or anything like that. I think I spent some time trying to do that when I was younger, and the older that I've gotten, I think I'm just more comfortable being who I am and liking what I like, and I don't really care what anyone else thinks, and I'm probably not for everyone, and that's okay. But I think authenticity is just when people feel that you are like grounded in yourself and that it doesn't make a difference what's happening around you, you're just always you. That to me is what authenticity is. And I think I'm drawn to other people who are like that because I know who's sitting opposite me.
Yeah.
And that's what I connect with. I connect with like the real person on the other side. I think that's authenticity to me.
And I think that's why we've connected, you know, from that instant first networking event at Cup of United Business. Like I was just so drawn to that as well. So thank you so much for your time. I'm so proud of you. I'm sitting here and
Thanks,
like,
Mel.
I'm so proud of you. You're doing such great, awesome work. So I wish you nothing but success and fulfillment.
Thanks,
and
Mel.
thank
Same
you for
to
being
you.
here.
Thanks.